if IT is not on board, if operations is on board, oh my gosh, heaven forbid the domain matter subject matter experts aren't on board. You can't walk in and just throw some AI at a problem and expect it to succeed. So it's really kind of a combination of maybe underestimating the complexity on the data front and the training front, and mistaking, being halfway there in a day with thinking, it's going to take 2 days. It's still pretty complex. It's a little bit more art than science, but that is just execution. It's really about moving together and getting buy-in with all of the executive team and stakeholders that need to be bought in for it to succeed. That's the number one thing.
If we kind of step back, when you're working with clients across different verticals, right? Finance and underwriting, health, retail, I don't know, whoever you might be talking to, in whatever vertical they're in, what characteristics or patterns do you see that distinguish an AI-ready company from those that maybe are really going to struggle, right? We've talked about data hygiene, and we've talked about kind of focusing on problems, but
Yeah.
Is there something cultural you can see? Is there something in the executive mentality?
The number one reason AI projects fail is really on the human side. It's lack of sort of coordination and buy-in by all of the stakeholders. So we'll
Sounds
see this
familiar.
really quite frequently. Yeah, where maybe parts of the business are very forward-looking and they're ready to go and they want to explore. But it gets completely undermined because this is a team sport, right? And if IT is not on board, if operations is on board, oh my gosh, heaven forbid the domain matter subject matter experts aren't on board. You can't walk in and just throw some AI at a problem and expect it to succeed. So it's really kind of a combination of maybe underestimating the complexity on the data front and the training front, and mistaking, being halfway there in a day with thinking, it's going to take 2 days. It's still pretty complex. It's a little bit more art than science, but that is just execution. It's really about moving together and getting buy-in with all of the executive team and stakeholders that need to be bought in for it to succeed. That's the number one thing.
So all innovation is stakeholder management. I mean, that
It really is.
Of course it is, right?
It really just comes down to people. I mean, it's always people, right? It's just,
people.
I like to joke, life would be so easy if it wasn't for people, right? Because we're complicated, complex people. And everybody's got their own, agenda. You have to get alignment on these things.
So what do you say to the leader? It might be a C-suite leader, might be someone else, kind of a divisional leader. What do you say to that leader who has found him or herself unbelievably inspired by kind of the art of the possible, like the belief that something really cool can change in their business? And, they ask the question, A, is this possible? And B, what do I do first?
What you need to do is, whether you're working with us or some other company that has real experience with building production AI systems, it's just night and day between a proof of concept and getting something in production.
100%.
Don't go build AI just to say you can build AI. Go do a thoughtful dive on what the opportunities are. They're going to, like we talked about, some are going to be cost savings, some are going to be automation, some are going to be new product capabilities that may be worth the investment. And then before you do anything else, go understand the data situation. Make sure you have the necessary data that's of quantity, quality, and distribution to solve what you need to build that AI system. And when I say distribution, I mean, if you're trying to build, like, let's say, a fraud detection system, but you don't have any examples of fraud, right? That's going to be a problem.
It's going to be hard.
By definition, fraud is in the minority. So you have this skewed data set already that you're almost always dealing with. So don't go racing out and do an analysis on that. and only then, when you have a good sense of the ROI and the data quality, then you can start thinking about AI and technology and execution and things like that. It's really just making sure that you are sweating the things that would cause you to fail early. And so I bring it all the way back to what you said, which is like fast fail. You can go explore 10 initiatives, but don't go spend a bunch of money building the proof of concepts. Go spend the time to investigate them first.
Do you ever read the book How Big Things Get Done?
Oh, I think I did, but years ago.
Yeah, well, it came out a few years ago, and it's one of my absolute favorites. If you've read it, you may
No,
recall some of these.
maybe I haven't then.
It's really good. I listened to it as an audiobook. I'm forgetting the name of the author, which is unfortunate, but we'll link it in the show notes. But it talks about both physical and digital, like major infrastructure projects. And it's absolutely fascinating, like everything from the Sydney Opera House to massive digital systems to remodeling your kitchen in New York. But like the key point to the book is exactly what you just said. Like you take this
Mhm.
entire book full of unbelievable stories of successes and failures in large, complex projects, or smaller ones. But the key point of the book boils down to uh, invest your time in preparation and learning, right? Before you scale and go to production. You just instantly reminded me of it.
Yes, there's an old famous computer science quote. I can't remember who said it. But it basically says every successful large system started off as a successful small system. It's just about impossible to go build some large, complex thing from scratch and have it succeed. And you can even see it in AI. We've got these giant models now, but we worked our way up. There were a
Yep.
thousand milestones. And back in the 90s, we were building neural networks. I literally was building neural networks that had like less than 1,000 parameters, which
Yep.
is so laughable now that we have
Well, let's give people context,
trillions.
because what the estimates of like ChatGPT 4 are what, 400 billion parameters or trillions? I actually forget.
Yeah, no, it's in the trillions. Yeah, and unfortunately, they're close, and nobody knows for
Okay,
sure.
so
But it's
let's take
almost
Llama, like the latest Llama model, right? Was
Yeah, that was 405 billion.
Yeah.
And that is open source. That model would be very complex. Llama is currently, we know this for a fact because Jan LeCun, their chief AI scientist, said this in December. They're training their next generation model um, on 100,000 H100 GPUs. Each one of those 100,000 GPUs from NVIDIA costs 30 grand
Yep.
retail. And
Yep.
so, you're just talking about unimaginable scale. But we didn't start that way. We worked our way up. And they're willing to make these investments now because they have confidence built up over the years. Even Meta needed to start small to get to where they are now.
Everyone. It's such a great lesson.